I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. 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 I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, okay?
Hey, you. Welcome back to I'm Sorry, Okay? A podcast where we are watching so much Degrassi. I'm Mary, here with Paul and LD. This week we watched Season 2, Episode 10 of Degrassi Junior High, Censored. This episode was written by Jan Moore, directed by Kit Hood, and originally aired on March 7th, 1988. In this episode, when parents call for Spike's removal from school because of her pregnancy, Caitlyn publishes a protest. Sorry, I had like a weird pause there.
That was weird.
So TV Guide writes like the weird. Okay, I like to stick with TV Guide because I feel like that's what people would have used to see what the Degrassi ep was going to be about on TV, you know?
Yeah.
But then sometimes they're written so like in such an odd way that I trip up on trying to actually read them.
I'm also kind of like, that's all they're saying about it?
Yes. Caitlyn publishes a protest.
Sure.
I mean, you could call it that.
I think we'll get into what she actually publishes. Maybe we'll have a little discussion about it. So, we open with a new trio, Spike, Liz, and Caitlyn. Spike and Liz are chatting in the hallway when Caitlyn walks by and says hello and asks how the baby is. Spike says she's good and compliments Caitlyn's newly red hair that she's currently hiding from her mom. It's temporary. They joke that she should get a haircut like Spike's or Liz's to really surprise her mom, but Caitlyn doesn't think she's ready for that. They part ways and Caitlyn heads to the office.
Hard to relate to this like manic panic washout hair dye that you gotta hide from mom.
Absolutely.
I didn't have anything that I had to hide, but I did have a fear of commitment. So I tried the spray stuff. Do you remember like the mascara wands that had
yeah,
colors?
and it would just make your hair all like sticky.
Stiff.
But I did if you had your hair in like a ponytail, I had like a glitter one. And then you just like throw some glitter on the side there. That was maybe more of a soccer thing.
I think I did it on my bangs. I think I did like different colors on my bangs because it was like these can be like kind of stiff. And we don't need these to move.
Yeah. I actually, as an adult, I did the same thing as Caitlyn in quarantine. I didn't want to dye my hair, so I got like a spray. But then I don't remember what we did, but I was like I didn't wash it out. And then I woke up and my whole face was like pink. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the problem with the like spray and hair dye. It just like gets everywhere.
Whoops.
Also, is this the only time that we've seen Caitlyn interact with Spike? Have they interacted before?
No, I looked into this. Because I think what's going on here is like Caitlyn's kind of trying to talk to the cool girls at school. Like she's always stylish, but now she's added this new element by like dyeing her hair. And like they even joke about their hair, right? The cool girls have like cool haircuts. But so in I think it's like in Egbert maybe, Kathleen is like trashing Spike and Caitlyn defends her. But they don't have like a direct interaction. That's like kind of the only thing we've seen like involving the two of them previously.
Wow, the maneuvering.
It really illustrates just like the chasm between these two. You know what I mean? Like we've never seen them interact. We know we've never seen them interact. And then Caitlyn comes in trying to be like, this is fine. I can speak to this.
We're pals.
Yeah.
We had one conversation in the hall.
But Liz is like kind of doing a vibe check. Like she just like hangs back and she only interacts with Spike in this scene. And Spike is just always cool to everybody. So she's like friendly to Caitlyn, but that's just how anyone who like approaches Spike, she just gives them like the same energy because she's just like a very warm and friendly person. But Liz seems more suspicious.
She seems suspicious through this whole episode, even though I don't think she has a whole lot of dialogue, but she does like put her arm around Spike and kind of put her in a little bit of like a friendly chokehold, which I thought was cute, but I also was like a little possessive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's like, this is my
friend. Yeah.
Paul and I know this move.
Oh, yeah.
Caitlyn is also wearing my look of the week.
Wow.
I had to give it to her.
Get it in quick.
So she's got on like this like blue cowl neck sweater with an airplane brooch, and then she's wearing a pink scarf and a pink pencil skirt with like an oversized burgundy belt. LD is making a disgusted face, but like I love it. This is totally the kind of like wild ensemble that I would put together with like too many accessories and a bunch of weird stuff going on. As I said, I literally like temporarily dyed my hair this reddish pink color in quarantine. Like there's Caitlyn and I have got some similar stuff going on here. I can't deny it.
I cannot deny it. I do not like this look. I really try to give a lot of leeway, but I hate this look. And I think, and there's a couple different looks that I see throughout the episode where like the shirt or top or whatever is just simply too long for the silhouette of the skirt. We've got a serious kind of like
proportion issue.
I will get into this later because I have a very good comparison for Caitlyn later in the episode.
Okay, well I support Caitlyn's accessorizing here. I feel like she was going for like a flight attendant look because she's got the little scarf and the airplane going on. So
There it
I
is.
enjoy a theme. All right, so Caitlyn drops off an announcement to Doris right as some parents are leaving Principal Lawrence's office.
Boo.
Dude, the irate parents are played by Kit Hood and Catherine Ellis.
Oh!
Hell yeah.
All right, I want to get a peek at Kit Hood. I'm going to rewatch that later. From what we overhear, they represent a group of parents who are upset about Spike's pregnancy and think that she should be kicked out of school for being a bad example. Principal Lawrence tells them they'll have an opportunity to express their terrible opinions at Tuesday's PTA meeting.
And luckily, that is the last we see out of those two.
Can't believe these guys get a whole platform, a whole meeting to discuss this.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Karen of the two says like that girl is not staying at Degrassi as they leave, when literally like how does it affect you, and maybe you should worry about yourself.
The Karen. What is a man Karen?
I couldn't figure it out. I was also wondering. Is it like a Brad? I don't know. That's not a dad enough
Yeah,
name.
that guy doesn't look like a Brad.
I've always leaned toward a Martin.
Martin, maybe like a
Martin.
Peter.
Maybe.
Huh. We'll have to
Bill.
I don't
know.
Karen
Yes.
and Bill.
Yeah, actually, I think Bill's pretty good.
Sure. I mean, at least for these two, let's go with Karen and Bill. I like that.
All right, Karen and Bill. And yeah, they have no direct involvement, but they're still trying to dictate what happens in Spike's life.
Get lost.
I mean, that's like the pillar of conservatism. It's like this does not affect me one iota, but let me try and legislate against it anyway.
Yeah, that's like how it always works with these people from the 80s on.
Do y'all think like the PTA is just inherently evil? Like it's always portrayed on television so negatively, and I'm not even sure if any of my schools like had a PTA. I've never experienced any PTA like meeting or interference or anything personally.
I think in real life it was basically like them figuring out what sort of fundraisers to do for like prom. Like I think, you know what I mean? Like I remember I'd be at like football games and there'd be like kids selling candy bars.
Right.
Like I think that's actually what the purpose of it is. Obviously in TV shows it's always shown as like angry moms who want to ban condom machines or whatever.
And books and yeah.
But
Wait,
you know,
condom machines.
I don't know. That comes up in Degrassi High, I think.
Maybe they want to like ban like sex education or
Yeah.
something.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think in real life, it's literally just like some parents who are like, yeah, I'll be the chaperone for like the Sadie Hawkins dance or whatever.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't know. I'd be interested to know if anyone who listens to this had a PTA parent and can speak to this, or someone who is a PTA parent
Ooh. Yes. Let us know more. We have no personal experience here.
And yet we've just talked about it for like forever.
Well, it's kind of the thing everyone's talking about because Caitlyn tells Susie about the parents after Miss Avery's class, and girl boss Nancy drops by to remind Caitlyn that the Degrassi Digest team is meeting in 10 minutes, and also reminds her that tomorrow is her deadline for her article, and it has to be 200 words.
I get a serious Sorkin vibe from this entire scene. We basically start in one place and we have this full walk and talk with Susie and Caitlyn through the halls, down the stairs, and it's just amazing. I love that Nancy doesn't give a fuck about anything except the length of the article. Like, yes, size queen. We love it.
Nancy is like all business all the time.
It's
Speaking
strange.
of Nancy, we're coming in with another look of the week.
Oh!
Yeah, she basically looks like she's in My Chemical Romance with this like outfit. And like honestly, I don't really know what's going on with this like pattern on her sweater. It looks like it's like no one knows. Okay,
I don't know,
makes you
but
feel better.
this was almost my look of the week, but then I saw that you had put it down, so I was like, oh no.
It's such an intense, it's so good. And yeah, just like the yellow button up, and she's got like her sleeves rolled up. Oh, and the earrings too.
Yeah. Nancy's an icon.
Yeah, no, this was a great look. It's just sort of like it's almost like an abstract print on the sweater.
Yeah, like browns, oranges.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
all
a great
working.
sweater. Oh, and she's also holding a utilitarian prop.
Nancy is doing the very most.
Absolutely.
I love her so much.
But after she leaves, Caitlyn tells Susie that Nancy doesn't even care what the words say as long as there's 200 of them. Which, yeah,
Fair,
I mean,
yeah.
fair enough. That's some editorial freedom, baby. Why are you going to be mad at that? And then they fantasy book getting promotions at school next year with Susie as school president and Caitlyn as editor of the Degrassi Digest. She's kind of coming for Nancy's job, actually.
Aim high.
Yeah, these children are very ambitious. I was not trying to do any jobs in junior high.
I was in plays. I don't think I did anything else. Why would I? It's middle school.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
I was trying to watch TV.
Yeah. I was watching Dawson's Creek.
I was very, very busy with the Friday TV lineup.
I was too busy trying to figure out if I was more of like a Dawson or more of a Pacey. It was Pacey, by the way.
Hopefully Pacey.
Yeah.
All right. So now everyone has heard about the PTA meeting and is talking about it throughout the hallway. Caitlyn and Susie walk past Melanie and Kathleen is, of course, in agreement with the moral panic parents about Spike.
Yeah, just being a little baby cop here. Cop. Cop. Who appointed you to patrol the halls of the middle school, Kathleen?
And also, like, who takes the position that something, like, sets a bad example for students as a student? Like, that's just really embarrassing.
There goes Kathleen again.
Caitlyn goes to the bathroom to wash out her hair and walks in on Spike and the twins talking about the meeting. Spike is telling them that she doesn't want to leave Degrassi, and they sort of try to comfort her, but I actually didn't find it super comforting.
I find it really strange that throughout Degrassi Junior High and also Degrassi High, and actually I'm pretty sure the Next Generation, all Spike ever talks about is what a mistake she made. And I always really wonder if this is the writer's attempt at making sure that no one watching thought that it was like glamorous. You know how people thought that if you had pregnant teenagers on TV or whatever, then other teenage girls watching would want to get pregnant.
Well, yeah, Kathy and Bill, they're like very real. They
Kathy now, she's Kathy.
What was
Karen.
that? Oh, sorry, Karen.
You know what? I actually think she's a bit more of a Cheryl, if I'm if I'm honest, but
Yeah.
Ooh.
whatever
But
her
yeah,
name is.
Cheryl and Bill are hiding around every corner here to check everybody's shit and make sure it's all like done properly. So yeah, I could see that. Like they have to write this stuff in so they don't get like hundreds of letters or whatever.
What seems glamorous about Spike's experience? Like even without her saying that it's a mistake, like everything that she went through with like her mom and Shane's parents and like trying to figure out what she's going to do, and like none of that was like it's not like she ever got to a place where she was like, "You know what? I'm glad this happened." Like she's just like making the best of her situation. I don't like that's not like I don't know. I don't think that anyone is going to watch this and be like, "You know what? Yeah, I think I want to be a pregnant teen too."
But I still feel like it's very strange that they don't ever really talk about it in any other terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like we get it. You don't have to keep spelling it out like we get it. This
Oh,
was not
It's
the
it's
intended
not
outcome.
Ideal. Yes, fine.
Yeah, Erica's like, "Well, they can't make you leave school until you're at least 16." Which is just like, "Oh, maybe they'll just kick you out of school later." Thanks, Erica.
Yeah, thanks, babe.
Anyway, so yeah, Spike tells them that her mom said she'd fight, but she's only one parent against the PTA.
Why can't they leave me alone?
Oh,
Yep.
I can imagine Spike's mom saying that.
I know.
Oh,
and
Christine.
Oh.
I'll do my best, but I'm only one parent.
Yes, I'm sure that is exactly how it happened. So yeah, Caitlyn does not like participate. She just kind of like observes this conversation.
Good, because it wouldn't be her place to start jumping in.
No, and I guess she's not really friends with the twins either. Well, I mean, she's in grade 7. So yeah, these aren't really I didn't think about that when we were talking about it earlier, but these are also older girls. So then we cut to Joey, Snake, and Wheels at their lockers. Joey's locker is decorated with photos of Sunshine Girls that he's cut out from the newspaper, and he has apparently memorized all of their bios.
Hell yeah.
First of all, Sunshine Girls still exist. They're
Yeah,
in the Toronto Sun.
I kind of looked it
Oh.
up. I was like, this must be a real thing the way everyone's talking about it.
Right. Like the phrasing of Sunshine Girls. Yeah.
Very
mean,
specific.
We have that here in the UK. I think is it page 3? I don't remember what page it is. It's page something. And Jason Sudeikis is dating a girl who was like a page 3 with her boobies out.
What is like the intended like editorial purpose of the photos? Is there some what's the
Boobies
I mean,
for
I
your commute?
Boobs.
free boobs?
Yeah, what?
What?
Is
what?
there well I
do you
mean
need
like
more?
is there well you know okay because they're like models, so sometimes they're modeling something, they're selling something,
They're
or are they
modeling
like
their boobies.
okay it's purely just to literally like objectify women in
Yes.
the newspaper. All right,
Yes.
got it.
And in the UK, they are naked.
Oh, damn.
And what
Yeah, dude. I have seen
Hell
like
yeah.
I have just seen unsolicited like titties on the bus.
I also like when I didn't really get a lot of information when I had checked out like Wikipedia or like just trying to look it up, but it did have like in the little informational column or whatever, it said that its political orientation was like right-leaning conservative, which I was like, what? Okay.
so like the same
yeah.
kind of parents who are trying to kick Spike out of school, but then
They read the Sun.
they read the
Yeah.
Sun,
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Huh.
Speaking of fine, LD starts walking down the hall with Alexa, and Alexa's just like asking if she looks good in green, and LD immediately is like, everything looks good on you,
Oh.
because she is
Yes!
gay as hell.
Well, I just thought she was being supportive, but sure.
She's also supportive, but I mean, Alexa, I think, is about to prove herself in this episode as very clearly bisexual. We've already seen that
yes.
she's poly.
Yeah, Alexa's open for anything. She doesn't care.
Yeah.
Good for her.
Love
We
that
love
for
our
her.
queen.
But yeah, they're literally having this supportive like conversation when Joey interrupts them and starts cutting a promo on the girls of Degrassi, calling them a -0 compared to the 10s in the newspaper.
Not a real
like,
number.
oh, you mean the adult women who are models? Like
-0 doesn't exist, but okay.
well, Joey's not great at school.
Aw.
Joey M. Jeremiah, M for misogynist.
Hey. And speaking of misogyny, LD has not been this offended since Jason Cox told her that people don't care about women's sports.
She is fired up. It's Aries season, baby.
So she tells them that rating girls is sexist, and so are the pictures, and that Joey is making girls into sex objects. But Joey doesn't care. And Wheels and Snake, like, they also don't care. They're just sort of like saying that, well, they would love to be sex objects. And that actually makes Alexa laugh, and she kind of joins in with them and comments on the model's ample bosom.
She loves it. She's very intrigued.
She yeah, well,
She is very drawn to the boobs.
I mean, it's hard to look away when there's boobs.
It's interesting. So continuing on with my Aaron Sorkin comparison for this episode, I feel like LD and Alexa here end up having a bit of a walk and talk where they, in my opinion, have kind of a Josh Lyman, Donna Moss sort of expository dialogue relationship here. Like on the West Wing, Donna is sort of serving as the proxy for the audience who don't know how things work in government. And Josh Lyman is her boss, and he's consistently explaining how different votes are going to work, what a filibuster is, stuff for just people watching. And I feel like LD here is sort of our Josh Lyman trying to explain to her why hanging nudies in your locker isn't okay. And, she decides she wants to do something about it. And Alexa's just kind of like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, Alexa just kind of gets dragged along like the whole time.
Accidental activism is her vibe.
And LD calls the boys like chauvinists, and they tell her she's just jealous.
You're just jealous.
That's not what's happening. What I was kind of disappointed in Wheels and Snake here.
I think it kind of shows though that even like quote unquote nice guys are still shit.
Yeah, like Wheels is so they're just kind of, before the girls come up, they're just kind of like talking about the girls, and like Snake is like really into Debbie, and Debbie likes her men tall, blonde, and into music, and which is this idea of like, Snake, do you think that this adult woman would really be interested in a teenage boy?
I aim high. That's the theme of the episode, right?
And then like Wheels, who's like traditionally kind of the sensitive one, he just points out that all of their names end in I, and it must be a qualification for being a sunshine girl. Which is funny. Like, I feel like he and Alexa kind of approach this situation from the same way, where they're just kind of like laughing about it. But yeah, Wheels doesn't really like defend, like, toxic masculinity.
It's all good fodder for like a little mini feud. Like you were saying,
Right.
LD and Jason Cox's like mini feud was like, problematic, but like makes for fun TV. And I think we're in like a similar situation
Absolutely.
here, where it's like relatively low stakes. Like, we know who's wrong here, but it's just like, yes, let's let them have at it.
Absolutely. All right. And so LD, you kind of mentioned this already, but so then we do like this walk and talk, and like Alexa is still thinking about those boobs, but LD can't think about boobs at a time like this. She can only think about boobs when she's taking her friend bra shopping. LD is mad about Joey's locker and sexism and wants to talk to Principal Lawrence about it. She is fiercely anti-boobs in lockers, but like we were saying, Alexa's like pretty indifferent, and like I think she kind of enjoyed the boobs in the locker, to be honest.
Who is she to say what's wrong and what's right?
I think that the problem, it's not just like the photos in the locker, it's that Joey was using the photos in the locker to rate and shame and like his peers.
He crossed
like
the
if
line.
it were just the photo, yeah, exactly. If it were just the photos in the locker, I would feel more like Alexa, like kind of like whatever. I mean, yeah, that's not what you want to be looking at, but like it was the fact that he was like literally like shoving it in their faces.
And continues to do so throughout the episode and turns it into a privacy issue, which we will get to. I feel like I have several things to say about this and Joey's little like baby libertarian ass.
Oh yeah, this is a bad Joey episode. Anytime, I don't know, I don't remember how we were feeling about Joey recently. I can't remember what he's been up to, but this is definitely like heel Joey.
Was the last time we saw him, he gets his ass kicked?
I think so.
And it's like, it feels like the last
maybe.
major Joey episode was like just him getting his shit wrecked. And so he got some like, he got a little shine, he got some face heat, just like everyone's feeling good about Joey. But yeah, he immediately like, he makes sure to take care of that for us.
It's like he hasn't learned to stop running his mouth. Like, does he honestly think that LD's not going to beat the shit out of him?
Seriously.
Oh, she seems ready.
She is fired up.
Yeah, so she thinks it's like that this is important because it affects how people look at women, and if they don't battle sexism, then who will? And Alexa can't really argue with that, so they head to the principal's office together.
This is very INFJ, which is like the advocate or whatever. That very kind of like, well, if I don't do it, no one will.
Mm-hmm.
Surprise, surprise, I am an INFJ.
Yeah, I did think of you.
This would absolutely be the kind of thing I would get embroiled in.
I would definitely like call it out in the moment. I probably wouldn't escalate beyond that though.
My ass would have been circulating a petition. I would have been like researching privacy laws. I would have been like highlighting stuff in the school handbook. Like,
You've been
excuse
like,
me,
hey,
I have a presentation.
Hey Rick, are you busy?
Yeah, exactly. Get Rick to make a little jingle. We're off to the races.
All right. So then we shift to girl boss Nancy is eating jelly beans and delegating work at the Degrassi Digest. Someone proposes an article on the cutest boys at Degrassi, but Nancy says it'd be pretty short. Zing!
Hey.
Again with the Aaron Sorkin, Nancy is running this newsroom like she is like Sam Seaborn the night before like a bill becomes a law on the West Wing. It is chef's kiss. I love it. I love how serious she is.
She's shooting down weak story topics. She's reiterating standards.
Right. She clarifies that she wants them to stick to facts and not opinions.
Helpful information for later.
Foreshadowing.
Well, and right after that, Caitlyn arrives late to the meeting and tells everyone that she wants to write about Spike's situation with the PTA. Nancy actually thinks it's a good idea, but kind of touchy. But Caitlyn thinks it's important, and it's about Degrassi, and it's time that they tackled some real issues. Nancy agrees and tells her to get it in by tomorrow morning and to make sure it is 200 words.
Okay, a couple things here. First of all, 200 words is absolutely nothing.
Hey, like, that's like a paragraph.
I mean, they're in like 7th grade.
Even for a 7th grader.
Yeah,
it's not even a page. Like, I think 300 words is a page.
Well, she had to assign Tim 50 more words. So apparently 200 is a lot to ask from these students.
I mean, what was Tim going to say about Quest for the Best other than, we won? But yeah, so the other thing that I wanted to just present is, what do you guys think about this story? Like, I feel like it's an important thing, but it's also very much not her business, at least without the consent of Spike. Like, she's doing what she has done before. We've seen this before. She is seeing a problem and she's deciding she's just the guy to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
I think because of the PTA meeting, like the PTA meeting itself has made it a public issue that I think is open for discussion at school to to talk about the actual meeting itself. And it does affect like the fact that you can have a personal issue as a student and the PTA can try to kick you out of school. Like, I see where Caitlyn is coming from, because the PTA has made this a public issue up for discussion and debate. However, I totally agree that if she's going to have the position of supporting Spike and naming Spike in the article, she needs to get her consent. She needs to talk about it with Spike first, give her a heads up, and also get Spike's perspective. And, you know, she kind of realizes that later on. I think that she should have gotten that perspective, but like, I think it's totally fair to like write about the meeting. It does affect, like, it affects everyone at Degrassi, but it's just not cool to like not give somebody a heads up when you're going to be writing an article about them in the school paper that everyone's going to be talking about.
Well, and like when you're younger, adults are like a powerful force. So if you like extrapolate from that, if you're thinking about like a powerful like conservative movement trying to like invade like somebody's life, it kind of makes sense that you would want to get a message out as quickly as possible. But to reiterate everything you said, like, yeah, she doesn't technically do it like in the right way, and she basically just turns out like a blogger piece.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we will get to the actual piece itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the idea of it is very good, and also calling into question this divine power that the PTA has over students' personal lives.
And right to an education.
Yeah.
Like, they're interfering with her, like, you know, her right to attend school and get an education. And also, it's like, she's having this baby and you don't want her to have a high school degree. Like, it just does, in no way is it like taking Spike into, it's like under the guise of taking Spike into consideration, but it's like in no way actually taking into consideration what would be the best for her, which is probably stability and support, and not like this upheaval at a time where she's going through like a major life change.
It's OG concern trolling. You know, it's like when people comment on someone's selfie on Instagram, they're like, you know, you'd be really beautiful if you lost weight. I'm just really concerned about your health. And it's like, well, this doesn't sound like it's about me. This is about you and how you feel about bodies that don't look like yours.
Totally. But yeah, just another little shout out to Nancy's editorial vision. She has firm guidelines, but she's also like open to like exploring new ideas. And I love that for her.
I also do.
Good for her.
Okay, so then we check back in on LD and Alexa, who seem to have been waiting in the office for a while now to talk to Lawrence. Doris tells him that she doesn't think he'll have time to see them today because he's very busy. So Alexa starts to go, but then LD stops her and tells Doris they'll wait. Doris tells him that she's going, so they also have to go. So they should just tell her why they're there. And then LD like tells her about the Sunshine Girls in Joey's locker and that she wants them taken down. Doris tells him that pinups aren't allowed at school, and she'll make sure that Principal Lawrence gets their message and he'll handle it. Never believe when someone tells you a man will handle sexism.
The one lesson from this episode.
It's strange to me that they waited there that long before Doris asked them why they were there. Like, what if they were there for something very urgent?
Yeah.
But also, what is with this principal? Because it seems like this episode was specifically just like noting how busy he is and how he doesn't have time to see anybody. And it's like, what is he busy doing? He's a middle school principal.
Well, but you know who he does have time to see is the PTA parents and Radich. Exactly.
Huh.
So like he makes time for adults, but like anytime it feels like anytime a kid is trying to like raise an issue, like he's got no time for that unless they're in trouble. And okay, it also felt intentional. Like when the scene opens, Doris is like applying her lipstick in like a compact mirror. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the intention was, but it just felt like, I don't know.
Didn't
she
she
got
have
a date?
Yeah, didn't she have to rush out for a date another time? Doris is busy.
She has
I guess that's
booming social life.
True.
That
I
we
believe
cannot
it.
relate to.
No, So after they leave school, LD is still raging and thinks that Doris was just making excuses to get rid of them. Joey, Wheels, and Snake kind of follow them out of school and start rating them again, with Joey calling one of them a 3.5, Snake offering a generous rating of 4, and Wheels saying that their score would be higher if their name ended in an I.
Okay, that last one was funny though.
It was kind of funny. Wheels, as always, is like the least problematic, but he's still like he's on the wrong side here.
Well, yeah.
Alexa wants to know which one of them they're talking about, but LD just like shuts them down and calls them pigs, and then tells Alexa it's time to fight fire with fire.
Would love to interject here that LD is wearing my look of the week as she takes matters into her own hands. So I felt like this episode was kind of slim pickings, if I'm honest. But I really enjoyed LD's just kind of like medium wash jeans, just a plain crew neck sweatshirt, a brown jacket over, and some Converse. I'm into it. I appreciate it.
Keeping it casual.
Yeah,
it totally fits with her. Yeah, cool and casual. It's like her whole style.
Yeah.
I also had a little like, who is she moment here before LD and Alexa walk out of the school. There's this girl in like an oversized pink sweater with a black turtleneck and like ripped jeans and a camera around her neck. And she's got this big hair. She looks super cool, but I didn't want to choose another rando for my look of the week.
I also noticed her though. She looks cool.
You can choose as many randos as you want. It's your prerogative. It's your podcast.
Well, I appreciate that, but I didn't want to make more social media work for anybody. So instead she's just my who is she. I hope that someday we find out.
A weekly who is she?
Who is she?
I'm already brainstorming the music.
Yes. And I also feel like it can be gender neutral, even though it's a who is she.
Oh, yeah. I say
fine.
who is she about lots of things.
Great.
I'll say who is she about like a particularly nice tree.
Yeah.
It's where we're at in the culture right now.
Agreed. All right. Caitlyn arrives home and her mom asks her to take the liver out of the refrigerator because it's just them for dinner tonight and she knows how her dad hates liver. Why did her mom even buy liver?
It's kind of a boomer treat, isn't it? Like boomers kind of love liver.
I could see that.
Do they?
I think so. I like making sweeping generalizations about boomers.
It sounds like something that would be a staple in one of those cookbooks where it's like Jello and ham or like whatever, you know, like
Yes.
Yeah, like 70s dinner party. Yeah.
add
you,
some
like,
mayo.
You like chop up like liver and you mix it with some reason with pate and you put it in like a mold that's like a fish.
Yeah.
And then you turn it over and decorate it with like flaked almonds and like
mayonnaise.
Yeah.
And then you like call it a dessert.
Some baby gem lettuce.
Yeah, no,
I think I've seen this.
So yeah, no, I support just saying it's a boomer treat. Like it sounds like it would
All right.
like there'd be like 50 recipes for liver in one of those books.
That you're probably right. There must be something about liver that we're missing here that makes it appealing to boomers.
But also, I mean, good for people who are going to eat the unpopular parts of an animal. Like if you're going to eat meat, you know what I mean? Like eat
Use
the whole
it.
thing, man.
Okay, so now we're going to get into some concern trolling like you were mentioning before, LD. Because Caitlyn asks her mom if she heard about the PTA meeting tomorrow and about the parents who want to throw Spike out of Degrassi. She asks her mom if she's going to stick up for Spike at the meeting, but her mom says that she thinks Spike would be happier in a place where there's other girls like her, so she wouldn't look so conspicuous.
Like, have you asked?
Seriously, or have you asked? Have you talked to her mom? Maybe offered her mom some support, let her know that there's another parent at the school who like cares about her child.
But Caitlin's like, you just care about what it looks like. You don't care about Spike.
It's like
Which is absolutely true.
fully
Absolutely.
enveloped by propaganda.
But yeah, her mom insists that it's about what's best for Christine.
In
Boo.
2021, Caitlin's mom is like a QAnon conspiracy theorist.
Sure.
It's also just like, if it's about what's best for Christine, shouldn't that be up to her and her mother?
Sorry, I just did a drop the mic thing, but it made no sound.
All right, so Caitlyn tells her mom that she's going to stand up for Spike, and then also lets her mom know that she hates liver too. The first time she said it quietly, and then she says it loudly as she storms up the stairs.
Absolutely.
I hate you and I hate liver.
That's
not
fair.
what she said, but that was basically what she meant. And then, fueled by parental anger, Caitlyn goes to her room and starts writing her article.
Okay, so a little note here. So Caitlin's using an old Mac.
Prehistoric. It is so old.
Hey, I had one of these. My
Nice.
family definitely had one of these. But I was just gonna give a little shout out to the woman who designed all of these little icons, Susan Kare. She designed like the little bomb. She did the little smiling Mac. She designed what is now the command key on Macs, that kind of abstract.
Oh.
And she had said that she was really sort of like uncomfortable by the fact that it wasn't kind of a concrete visual representation of something. And then someone who was from Sweden, where she had found this symbol in the first place, wrote her and was like, it's actually a castle from above, and those round parts are the turrets. But
Command.
But yeah, Susan
So
Kare,
smart.
basically, she designed tons of the icons that we associate with that old Mac interface now. So I just wanted to give her a shout out.
Cool.
Nice.
And also we get a little like appetizer here of a little taste of Caitlyn's
Article.
in my opinion, basically a fucking Tumblr post.
I wrote a Tumblr post too. As
Like-
everyone knows.
Spike is going, row, have a baby, because she has a typo.
Yeah. This is why Nancy needs you to meet your deadline, by the way, because she's got to edit out your typos. So we'll hear more about Keep Spike at Degrassi later on. But first, before school the next day, LD is decorating her locker with photos of Sunshine Boys that they've acquired from Alexa's older sister.
Nice.
Alexa is extremely into these photos, but LD thinks they're gross and is only putting them up to get back at Joey.
And then when Joey and the boys walk by and she's just like, look at him, she is giving me extreme Dan Levy pretending to be straight in Happiest Season.
Are you the ex-boyfriend?
Yes, I am John Abby's heterosexual ex-boyfriend.
Great pecs.
Look at his
Amazing buns.
It's buns.
I mean,
It's
to be
also
fair, they
just
are really great
they're-
buns.
They're great buns, but it is kind of the thing where like everyone sort of agrees that women's bodies look sexy and beautiful, but then when you're trying to talk about men's bodies, it's like
The best you can do is
nice
buns.
buns.
Yeah.
I think the thing about butts, though, if I may digress,
Yes, please do.
is that no matter what your sexuality is, you love butts. Like everybody loves a butt. Everybody has a butt.
Yeah,
Everybody loves to touch a butt.
sure.
You know, you could be anybody.
Butts are universal.
You could be tragically heterosexual and you still like butts.
It should be the great equalizer.
It is
The one thing we can all agree on. All right. So
It's just a little
then-
bit about me and butts.
So LD rates the boys in the locker a 10, and then Alexa wonders what Joey's rating is, and LD says she doesn't know because she can't count that low.
Joey like
Oh!
immediately takes the bait. He's just like, what? Hey, what? What? Huh?
He does, but then like overall the boys really don't care because they just think the pictures are ridiculous. She almost gets him though. She almost gets him by rating him, but not quite.
I
think
don't
she
know.
Planted a seed.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
he's
seed of doubt.
yeah, Joey's been hurt. He's been
Yeah.
struck.
When she
All right.
when she was like, look at those pecs, he's like, pecs.
Yeah, and he kind of like looks at his own body like
He deserves it. How does it
Oh,
feel,
yeah.
baby?
yeah, how does it feel to be a teenager and someone is comparing you to an adult man who is a model? Like,
With
doesn't
probably
feel
a
good,
very
does it?
Expensive gym membership.
Seriously.
Seriously. I can't even imagine what it takes to be that buff. Alexa sneaks another peek at the photos before class.
She loves the hunks.
I also wrote that. She loves the hunks. But I
Seriously?
I spelled it Hunx.
I wrote Ze Hunks. Z-E.
The two genders.
Yes. All right.
Here at I'm Sorry, okay, a Degrassi podcast, we endorse hunks.
Z Hunks and
Z
Hunks.
Hunks.
With an X.
We don't discriminate. We support all hunks. All right, so Caitlyn drops off her article to Nancy. Radich is the staff advisor for the paper, so he's also there, and he starts reading the article over Nancy's shoulder while they're talking. He interrupts them to tell Caitlyn that they cannot publish her article. Radich thinks it's well written, but says the press has a responsibility to present a balanced picture, and Caitlyn has only included her own opinion in the article and hasn't even talked to Spike, which is a fair criticism.
Constructive criticism. He's not just like, this is bad.
Right. He also says the Degrassi Digest publishes events and does not have a mandate to publish opinions. Caitlyn pushes back. She says real papers have whole pages of opinions and that there's freedom of the press, but Radich refuses to publish the article, particularly at this time. Caitlyn thinks he's trying to censor the paper, and she storms out with her article.
He doesn't really give her any ideas on what she could do to make it less opinion based, which is kind of, to me, I saw it as he just sort of dunks on a shitty article, which is like easy enough. I don't know. His criticism is fair, but it should have been used to do a rewrite. It shouldn't be used to like just unilaterally like squash this article, especially because he's an advisor. He's not the editor of the paper. And I think it's really unfair that Radich alone gets to decide what is and isn't published, and that this should have been like a discussion among the students about whether to include the article instead of like the authority all going to this like white dude, basically. Yeah.
That's a super good point. I also think like Caitlyn wouldn't have had to go very far to find a dissenting opinion to make a more like balanced article, because she has her mom right there. You know what I mean?
Her mom, the PTA parents, like I'm sure they would love to share their opinion. Yeah, Kathleen.
There goes Kathleen again.
And then she could also talk to Spike. She could also talk to Melanie. Like I'm sure Melanie like disagrees. She always disagrees
Shane?
with Kathleen. Shane. Yeah, she also mentioned Shane in the article, but we kind of see him reading the article later, but we don't, like, no one cares about Shane. No one ever cares about Shane.
Yeah.
I always feel a little bad for Shane. He just gets like publicly trashed all the time and no one really like cares. But I mean, you know, I can't feel that bad for him either.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I mean, the way that Radich like deals with her just gives her extra motivation to fight the power.
It's funny though, because like, you know, her claiming this is censorship and also talking about like real papers or whatever. It's like, okay, well, this is a middle school, basically newsletter. Like I would say paper is even a bit liberal for this, but like, you know, opinion pieces in real newspapers, and I'm putting that in quotes, are like assigned and they're edited. You know what I mean? Like you don't just say like, well, I wrote this, so you have to publish it.
There is a lot of like classic like misconstruing of like what government can do to censor people versus what like any organization can do to control what they want in their organization. So we see that here, and we kind of see it with the school being like, you just can't have these pictures in your locker. And Joey, like you were saying, like Joey kind of acts all libertarian about it, but it's like, that's not what that is, dude. So it's like sort of the same thing here. It's like, he's not really censoring you.
I'm going to disagree a little bit.
Oh,
because I feel like Nancy is the editor of the paper, and Caitlyn ran this idea by Nancy, and Nancy approved it. Nancy was going to publish it, but then Radich stepped in, and he decided that they're not going to publish it. That's why I feel like it should have been more of like an opportunity, a teaching opportunity where they could have had some kind of discussion, and the students should have decided whether or not they published it like in their own paper. I feel like it is censorship in this instance because Radich is the one who's deciding not to publish it, and he's not allowing any kind of discussion or debate around it.
I think that's a really good point.
Fair.
I don't think that it's censorship to say you can't have nudes in your locker, but I do think that I don't know if I feel like it is definitely I do feel like it's just like an abuse of power for Radich to just unilaterally decide what goes in a student newspaper where he is, again, as you're saying, not the editor.
Yeah.
But also, Caitlyn has written this like incredibly biased, not researched.
I know,
not
we're like
well-written
defending a
piece.
shitty article.
It's awful. I'm not defending it.
I'm defending a shitty article.
She has the right to.
He's making the topic off limits.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
also
which
a
is the
very
problem.
Yeah, which is a very problematic thing to do when they're giving parents a public forum to discuss one kid,
Yes.
one student, and whether she should be allowed to even go to this school. But they're not giving any of the students any kind of platform to even discuss like how does it make you feel? You know what I mean? Like not even just Spike, but they're just saying what is and isn't a good example. And it's like,
Right.
well, why don't you ask one of these students like how they feel about what's going on at their school?
They're doing the same thing that Caitlyn's trying to do with this shitty article, with their shitty PTA meeting.
Yeah. They're all and I think that's kind of the point that Spike's gonna make like later on in the episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Susie reads Caitlyn's article during Miss Avery's class and afterwards tells her it's her best work yet. So yeah, apparently the quality of the Degrassi Digest is not like great.
Speaking of best work yet, her shoulder pads here are absolutely out of control. She is serving me heavy David Byrne in like the giant suit. You know what I mean? When Talking Heads had like Stop Making Sense.
Is this the yellow sweater or is she wearing something else now? Or wait, I think this is a different day.
This is something else. I think it
Okay.
is it like maroon or something. They're just like she looks like a perfect triangle. Like she's she's really widened the shoulders. And I think she's at home listening to Talking Heads.
Possibly. All right, so she feels like first the PTA parents want Spike to disappear and now they won't even let the students talk about it. Susie mentions that a friend of hers in high school started an underground newspaper but ended up getting suspended. Caitlyn loves this idea.
I don't care if I get suspended.
She thinks the students should read the article before the PTA meeting. Caitlyn ditches study period to go DIY and publish her own article.
I support that.
Absolutely.
And she's right that like no one seems to want to address Spike's situation unless they approach it like punitively.
I feel like I understand her frustration here. And I agree that something needs to be done. But I feel like just like once again, we are seeing Caitlyn centering herself instead of going to Spike and being like, how can I help?
Classic Caitlyn.
Right. Like, do students get to talk at a PTA meeting? Like, I was like, why don't they just also like talk to Spike and then like have a presence at this meeting to like offer the student perspective?
My guess is that it is closed to students.
That's
More censorship.
messed up.
When she's like, I don't care if I get suspended. I was just like, ooh, girl, you're so bad.
She's a rebel. She has red hair. So Radich's class is interrupted by Doris knocking on the door. She has come for Joey.
Busted.
Radich is back to teaching stuff that like no one is taught in middle school. And this week they're talking about George Bernard Shaw. So they're reading George Bernard Shaw's Saint Joan, which is a play about Joan of Arc. And it's basically about like her eventual like trial and burning at the stake. I pulled a quote about it that just says the play reflects Shaw's belief that the people involved in Joan's trial acted according to what they thought was right. And so then I basically started to wonder, are we comparing Spike to Joan of Arc being put on trial? And are the parents basically the people who are seeking to like imprison her by isolating her and sending her away? And I mean, I would hope based on like where we're at in history at this point, it's like you'd hope that the implication is that the parents wanting to send her away is being looked at with the same kind of standards that we look at witch trials today, which is just like that's insane.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm wondering if you guys think that I was trying to figure out, are they comparing Spike to Joan of Arc, or are they comparing Caitlyn to Joan of Arc?
It feels more like Spike.
I then had to read a lot about Joan of Arc, by the way, like a lot. Like I really fell into a rabbit hole for this, even though none of it was relevant at all.
Yeah, but like, yeah, Spike is the one that's being like, you know, she's being put up and debated in a public forum.
Yeah.
And also like, yeah, maybe Raditz should pay attention to his own lesson here.
It was a trial about morality, basically. And you know, what was really messed up about Joan of Arc was that in the end, this, like, you know, towards the end of her life, she was in prison and they had ordered her to stop wearing men's clothes. And, you know, she was just kind of like, if I agree to wear women's clothes, will you let me go to mass? And they were just like, fine. And she was like, fine. So these guards like come to get her, to take her, I'm assuming, to mass. And they bring her men's clothes. And she's just like, I thought the whole thing here is I'm not supposed to be wearing men's clothes. Like, I thought I'm supposed to be wearing women's clothes. Do you have women's clothes for me? And they're just like, no, this is what we have. So you'll take what you're given. And then she put on the men's clothes and they were just like, aha, you relapsed. You're back to wearing men's clothes. Now we're going to burn you because you're a witch.
Wow.
I didn't know a whole lot about Joan of Arc. I'll be honest.
Honestly,
I didn't read George
neither.
Bernard Shaw in middle school.
No.
Anyway, so I'm sorry to interject and have now talked a lot about.
No, thank you. No, the Radich's lessons are often related to the overall story. So like it's important to like, you know, get a little more info there. All right, so Doris has pulled Joey out into the hallway. She tells him that they've had a complaint that Joey has pornography in his locker. It has now been upgraded to pornography.
I can't define pornography, but I know it when I see it.
Bingo.
Yeah, and is it Sunshine Girls? I don't know.
I don't know that it's porn. It's just like maybe not good to
like
have
inappropriate school material.
at school.
Yeah.
It's they're sexual images.
Like, why can't
Sure.
he just keep this under his mattress at home like every other dude was doing in 1988?
Because he wants to intimidate
Yeah.
his female peers.
Oh yeah, that was it.
Joey thinks it's against the democratic system to check his locker, but he shows her the photos.
It'd be so awkward to have to do this
yeah.
though too. Oh my
With
god.
Doris.
I'm like, all right, Ron Paul. He's like, what about my privacy?
Doris is so offended that she cannot even stand to look at the Sunshine Girls and tells Joey to take the photos down and go to Mr. Lawrence's office.
Yeah, Lawrence is gonna be excited to get those.
Yeah, just drop those off
He
there.
throws LD under the bus like immediately.
Oh yeah, he's
he
like, you
does.
should see what's in LD's locker.
I was
And then-
dying when he was like, I was really offended.
What a scab.
That's awesome.
No way. What a little scab.
So then she interrupts Radich's class again to pull LD out of class and to check her locker. LD shows Doris the beefcakes and tries the classic, they're not mine. But Doris tells her to take them down and go straight to Mr. Lawrence's office.
I also love how annoyed Raditch was. He's like back in the groove with this lecture, and then Doris knocks on the door again, and he's just got his like, let me teach my lesson face on.
And then he
I
just kind of gives
love-
up. He's like,
Yeah.
never mind. We won't answer the question.
I love that Doris puts her glasses on to look
Oh yeah.
at Ze Hunks.
She's
because
not as
she's
mad
gotta-
about this one.
Well, because she's got to see those buns of steel in 2020, baby.
That's a pretty big butt.
And then I also love that LD like can't believe she's in trouble, even though she literally did the same thing that she complained about Joey doing.
Oh,
And I
I'd
was
be
like,
pissed
why
off
didn't she-
about this. Like, I'd be super pissed, being like, I did this to like make a point. He is doing this with like very smarmy intentions.
Okay, so LD and Joey continue arguing in the office. LD thinks Joey's pictures were offensive, and Joey doesn't think it's any of her business what's inside his locker. Except that he was literally showing it off to her. But like, okay, Joey, she didn't like walk up and like be like, hey, what's that in your locker?
Yeah.
He showed them off.
It's like freshman year sociology class shit.
Like, he probably would have gotten away with having those like photos in his locker if he just like shut up about it.
If it hadn't been for those meddling kids.
Exactly. All right, so Caitlyn is waiting for Susie after study period with copies of her article, which she has printed on red paper. She and Susie hand them out right next to the table, selling copies of Degrassi Digest.
I love that Susie is helping her with this scheme, even though she does not really support it. Like,
Yeah.
she's like, oh, I know someone who did an underground newspaper. Don't do that. And then she's like, oh, but do you want me to help you hand out your
you
article?"
did it? This is cool. Sure. Yes, I also love that.
And
they're
she doesn't
calling
get in
it-
trouble for it. So, like,
Yeah,
good for
that's
her.
true. They're calling it the article that was banned by the school.
Yes.
I mean,
Get
it
that-
was
Promo.
clickbait, baby. Analog
Yeah.
clickbait.
So very quickly, everyone in the hallway has a copy and is debating whether Spike should stay or go when Spike herself shows up and finds the article taped to the wall.
As everyone knows, Spike is going to have a baby. The parents say she should go away. But Spike has lots of friends here. And with all that she has to deal with, why should she have to make new friends too? I think Spike is brave not to hide anything. So I don't see why the parents want to hide her. Also, why do they blame her? It was Shane's fault too. Should he be sent away? Of course not. They should both stay.
Someone also hands a copy to Radich, and he hurries off to alert Principal Lawrence that the students have read an unofficial opinion piece.
Narc.
Total narc. All right, so back in the office, Joey and LD are still waiting to talk to Lawrence, and they've already missed lunch. But Doris tells them Mr. Lawrence is still very busy. But then Radich cuts ahead of them and goes straight into the office.
Boo.
After meeting with Radich, Principal Lawrence makes an announcement over the loudspeaker for Miss Avery to send Caitlyn to his office. Caitlyn sits between LD and Joey, who both miss the article because they've been in the office all day. LD is spending like her entire week in the principal's office. So Caitlyn tells them about the article being banned and how she handed it out anyway. And Joey tells her that that was guaranteed trouble, but she doesn't care because she thinks it was the right thing to do. Caitlyn gets sent into Lawrence's office before Joey and LD, and they absolutely cannot believe this shit. And they're just, also, I didn't really add this into my description, but they're both sitting there, like, holding the sexy pics, and Caitlyn's kind of like, what's going on here?
The problem with this scene is that Joey is conflating two completely unrelated things and he's lumping them together. So privacy policies don't really protect him from putting up images in his locker, images that he's like broadcasting to people and that everyone can see. And like, that he's kind of forcing people to look at and calling their attention to. But like Spike is the subject of an article which she didn't consent to, which does
Right.
violate her privacy.
Right.
But I feel like I can't tell if the writers are telling us that both of these things are the same or not, or if we're just supposed to think that Joey is a little bit of a dum-dum.
Well, yeah, because also your locker is school property. It's not your own personal. It's not like they searched his backpack or they made us empty his pockets or something like that. Like literally, your locker belongs to the school.
Yeah.
Bro.
So then we cut to Caitlyn heading back to Miss Avery's class, and Susie asks her what happened. Caitlyn tells her she got tons of detention, and if she ever does something like this again, she'll get suspended.
Nothing to say.
It's fine.
But then we cut to Spike. So Spike reads the article alone in the girls' bathroom while everyone is congratulating Caitlyn after class. Spike waits for her in the hallway and she's really upset. Caitlyn tells Spike that she wrote the article for her to fight for her rights, but Spike is mad that she never talked to her directly about it. She doesn't like having everyone read about her, and she doesn't want Caitlyn to make her cause of the week.
Caitlyn, I'm a person, okay? Not public property.
I loved it. I love a stairwell promo.
Yeah, and the way that they show everybody congratulating Caitlyn on her piece, I think is like really good. Like it's sort of warming up for this interaction between Caitlyn and Spike, because it's like we've been saying, like Caitlyn's just centering herself and then she's sort of like soaking in all this adulation and she's just like, oh, thanks. She's got like this rock star vibe. And yeah, she's obviously completely forgotten about Spike at this point, and she even walks right past her in the hallway.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
I have
Spike
that
has
in
to
my
like call
notes.
after her. Yeah.
Yeah, people are telling her she's a hero while Spike is just like over off to the side and she doesn't even acknowledge her. She walks past her.
Yeah.
I mean, good for Spike. She the thing I like about Spike is that she is warm, she is friendly, she is someone who's friends with a lot of people, but she's constantly telling people how she feels. And I think that that's really great because like I'm a person who maybe I would have been really pissed that someone wrote this article about me, but I might not have said anything about it because I don't really like one-on-one confrontation.
Right. But I also think that part of what Spike is saying to Caitlyn is what she wishes that she could say to the PTA parents. Because she's coming down, pretty hard on Caitlyn, like deservedly, but it also feels like everything she's saying about Caitlyn is exactly what the PTA parents have done, making her the cause of the week, treating her like public property. And it's just unfortunate that, she only really can voice this to Caitlyn. She doesn't even have an outlet to really like speak to the parents.
Yeah.
Who are the ones who have like real power in this situation.
They're like creating the actual problem.
So then we cut to detention where Joey is still bothering LD, who's just trying to do her homework, and Caitlyn is thinking about how much she just fucked up.
And Dwayne is tracing his hand.
Yes, Dwayne. What's up, buddy? Where you been?
I was thinking about that earlier, Paul, when you mentioned that like the fight was the last time we really saw Joey, and then it's just funny to see them both in detention now.
That's probably why Joey's acting like this, because he knows Dwayne is trapped in detention and can't get to him. Also, why we see Yick in detention? What is he doing?
I also
he said
wrote that.
He always has detention. We
Like,
still don't know
how?
why, but
The roundup of the people in detention are the people who got in trouble in this episode: LD, Joey, and Caitlyn. And then we have Dwayne, which it's sort of like, okay, sure, I could see this kid getting into trouble somehow. Like he's starting fights regularly, apparently. But yeah, Yick is completely unaccounted for. There's no explanation whatsoever. Which, fine.
I know. We need a little just some sort of for not doing his work or something. We need a little explainer there.
Just something,
because it is an ongoing
please.
thing that Yick always has detention, but I truly don't know why.
The only thing that we've ever seen from him is that he's messy. He's late. He's disorganized. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe someone should address that instead of giving him detention.
Do you think he's smoking in the bathroom?
He's not even that cool.
Oh, buddy.
Okay, so before school the next day, Joey is ready with more sexual harassment and shows LD his new binder full of women.
It's creepy arts and crafts.
Eat that, Lisa Frank.
Sorry, I just got your binder full of women joke.
Romney.
Wow. Okay.
It's
What are we
a
on? What are
literal
we on?
binder
Air
full of
America?
women. Damn it. LD, however, is not impressed with the binder full of women, so then Joey goes to show Alexa.
None of us were.
No.
He's such a tool in this episode. He's, you know,
Just like leave them alone. Like he started this whole thing just harassing them. Like for what purpose? Like just fuck off.
For me, this was really amplified while I was watching it because what's going on in the news right now is a lot of this not all men stuff. And, you know, all these men on the internet, all these reply guys are making women seem like they're killjoys. And we're seeing the exact same thing, but on a middle school level in this episode where it's like, you know, Joey is making it seem like LD is this uptight killjoy for not wanting to see pictures, objectifying women while she's at school. She's there to learn. And this is like, you know, not to take this to a whole other place, but like this is detracting from her education. She's fighting with a guy who is broadcasting these images and making women feel bad about themselves and comparing 13-year-old girls to like 21-year-old women, being like, why don't you look like this? And it's like, we don't need this. But then it's like, if she doesn't find that funny, it's like, I was just joking. God. And it's, oh God. It's just such like typical dude behavior.
It's like putting women in an impossible situation where you're making them feel bad and then also making them feel like they have to just laugh along with you, because if not, you're just going to make them feel even worse.
I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Joey once again is canceled. All right, so Caitlyn and Susie walk up to school together, and Caitlyn tells her that she feels like a jerk about the article, but Susie thinks that Caitlyn was just trying to help. Susie, as ever, just like a supportive friend. Like, Caitlyn already knows that she messed up and she feels bad, and so Susie's like, I mean, you were trying to help, you did it in the wrong way kind of thing, which I appreciate. Lots of like female friend like support in this episode. Nancy comes over and asks how detention was, and then also asks Caitlyn what she's going to write about for the next issue. Caitlyn's surprised that she's still allowed to write for the paper, and Nancy tells her that she's the best writer that they've got, but asks her to make it a little less controversial next time. Caitlyn tells her that she thinks she'll write about sexism next, and Nancy is like, great, just make sure it's 200 words.
She's just sort of like, okay.
But she doesn't care. She's just like, fine.
Yeah.
Caitlyn says she's going to do it right this time, and she's going to interview both Joey and LD, as Joey sexually harasses Alexa in the background, and we end with a freeze frame on Spike.
Wait, what did he do to Alexa?
He's like chasing her around with the binder, and she literally like kind of pushes him away and tries to just like get away from him.
Wow, I totally missed that. Oh my God.
Yep.
Wow.
So Joey has learned nothing. I mean, and even Caitlyn, it seems like Caitlyn's learned something. Joey's learned absolutely nothing in this episode.
Who's surprised?
I really liked that Caitlyn wasn't punished in a way where she was also removed from the newspaper and made to feel like she should never try, because I think that regardless of the fact that she did not do it the right way again, she's learning every time, you know what I mean? And it's she still does have that knee-jerk reaction that she wants to help. Her heart is in the right place, and I'm glad that this ended with her getting another chance.
Yeah, totally.
But her activism sucks.
Well, maybe she'll figure it out someday, but probably not.
Can't relate.
I related to Susie. She was the one that mentioned the idea of doing DIY article, even though she wasn't really saying that she should actually do it. She was just like, I don't know, this is like a cool idea I've heard about. But then also when Caitlyn actually did do it, she was like, we were just saying, she was still there to like be supportive. She helped her hand out the copies and cause trouble. Supportive pal.
I related to Nancy in this episode she runs a tight ship. You know, it's not always the most glamorous job, but someone has to be the person who's organizing stuff, bringing people together, keeping people on deadline. And even though it's not always like sexy, you know, organizing stuff makes the trains run on time and it gets people to where they have to go.
All right. I related to quite a few people in this episode. I related to LD first, because it can really feel lonely and isolating trying to call out sexism when you're a teenager or even when you're an adult. Honestly, it doesn't really get that much better. But sometimes I'm an Alexa too, and will definitely laugh at like girlfriend memes. So it's kind of like a balance between the two, because if you're full on like LD all the time, it can be like just really draining. But the person I related to most of all was also Nancy. She's just trying to get this issue together, and she will fully support your activism as long as it meets the space requirements and you can meet your deadline. So, friends, what did we learn today?
I learned that seeing injustice is the easy part, but the hard part is figuring out how to use your voice to actually help the situation.
This week we learned, once again, from Caitlyn about not centering yourself in your activism. What was happening to Spike was oppressive and othering, and in light of topics that we discussed in past episodes about homes where teen and unwed mothers were sent and having their babies taken away from them, we know that what was being advocated for by the parents was something really incredibly cruel and inhumane. And while Caitlyn saw injustice and she wanted to help, she chose to write an article about Spike without consulting her at all. And instead, she wrote a 200-word Tumblr post and passed it off as journalism and the truth. And she gained more attention for writing the thing in the first place and for being a hero than for actually bringing attention to a serious topic or organizing any kind of direct action. We still see this every day with the reactionary nature of social media, with everyone feeling like they need to prove how informed they are by sharing the same 8 Instagram stories that everyone else is, to be seen to be giving a shit, lest they be accused of doing nothing. But as we know, performative allyship isn't allyship, and sometimes you simply need to shut the fuck up.
Damn. Yes.
Boom.
All right. Today we learned that there are injustices all around us, and there are many ways to call them out, but they may have unintended consequences. LD is direct and tries to confront Joey in the moment about his sexism, hoping that he'll see how offensive and hurtful his actions are, and when that fails, she escalates to telling an authority figure. But as authority figures often do, they let her down by refusing to see the nuance of the situation, and she ends up getting in trouble too. Caitlyn also sees an injustice and thinks that she can help by using her platform to support Spike, but she makes a mistake in not checking in with Spike first. If she had told Spike her intention behind writing the piece, Spike may have felt differently about it. But because she found out in the same way that everyone else did, she ended up feeling used. You should always check in with people before going public on their behalf, because you might end up hurting the person that you were trying to help.
You can listen to I'm Sorry Okay, a Degrassi podcast on Acast, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you enjoy what we're doing here at I'm Sorry Okay, be sure to give us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts.
And thanks for listening. You can follow us on social media at I'm Sorry Okay Pod. OK is spelled O-K-A-Y. And email us at I'mSorryOKPod@gmail. That's it for Censored. Next week we'll be watching Trust Me.